So the last thing we're going to talk about in this segment of the video is what are your most memorable experiences and most memorable sightings, maybe, that just highlights from your experiences at Comic-Con.
I think one of my most memorable experiences, I met Joss Whedon at the Hilton. I was just like sitting, just like on my phone, and he came out and he was going to his hotel room, and I was like, "Oh hey, hi Joss Whedon." And he's like, "Hey buddy," and we took pictures, and he took a picture of me. He's like, "I don't actually like that one. Here, let's do it again."
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
It was like the best thing ever. And he's like super nice. I told him how much I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Avengers, and super sweet guy, and made that year like
that's really cool.
Best experiences at Comic-Con.
There you go. I have nothing that good, so I guess kind of in a weird connection since Joss Whedon is taking over for Zack Snyder to finish up the Justice League, with the tragic suicide of his daughter. One of the sort of related was sort of two things. So I went the year that they announced it was going to be Batman vs. Superman, and say what you will about the movie, but the moment where they announced it was one of the best experiences I ever had, because they had done the whole Warner Brother panel, and they'd done all their stuff, and then at the end, Zack Snyder came out on stage. He's like, "Well, there's one more thing." He kind of like rushed out. He was sort of like feigning, like, "Oh, you got to get this one last thing."
And I sort of poured through the DC universe to look for a way to tell this thing. And so what happened was, I came across a thing that I feel like, sort of sums up, because of course we're writing the thing now, so it doesn't exist, but there is a thing that I found that kind of helped me understand what you can do. So I have a friend with me, this Harry Lennox. Harry Lennox was in Man of Steel, and the reason I brought him out is because his voice is just way better than mine. Now he's gonna come right here. Now what he's gonna read you a little thing. He's gonna read a little thing, and some of you will recognize it, and it's not, we're not adapting this thing, but it is the thing that will help tell that story. So if we could, actually just like a spotlight would be cool on the lectern. Is that? Okay, hang on. Harry, let's see. All right, that was good.
I want you to remember, Clark, in all the years to come, in all your most private moments, I want you to remember my hand at your throat. I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
Awesome. And that same convention, the next day, Judy and I are walking. We're actually like we earlier, like the quieter offshoot hallways, right, or the aisles on the floor, and we're just like walking in like a small booth, like it's not like a big one, just someone owns selling some toys, and we're just kind of wandering around, and Judy's across one side and I'm on the other, and I turn to Judy to like show her something, and then I see a little bit down to the right is Zack Snyder coming towards us. And then the thing is, like, I want Judy to see that it's him, so I walk out to try to get her attention, and I almost then walk into Zack Snyder to then tell Judy Zack Snyder is there, because I was no longer paying attention to Zack Snyder. But I fortunately was able to get her and point it out. So just kind of cool that, like, it was the same convention. It was like the next day after that announcement that he just happened to be, it was like he was with this big security dude that would have, if I would have, he was actually nice, because I think he said excuse me whenever he walked into me, which technically was my fault because I was looking at Judy and not at him. But it was a cool experience, not as good as getting the photo, but it was just cool, especially with the connection to having seen the announcement the day before. So that was one of my memorable moments.
One more.
Keep going.
Okay, all right. So this is the very first year of Comic-Con that I went. It was 2008.
1977, this guy was. Was even born.
Yeah, I was in the black and white photos, like with the Star Wars.
You wore the shirts with like the baseball shirts line.
Yeah, it was like way smaller than it is now, but
even just then, yeah.
And Edgar Wright were there, and they were promoting Space, like it was coming out on DVD, and so they had a panel.
Great show, by the way.
and a signing, and I was waiting in line to get a ticket for a signing, but I didn't get a ticket. And I was like, oh my god, I want to meet Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Like, that would be, because I love their movies. I love the Cornetto trilogy. Baby Driver's amazing. That came out recently. And so I took it, like back in the day, they had throwaway tickets. And so I had this one ticket, and I put in my badge and pretended that was a ticket for the signing.
Yeah.
And I like snuck through in line, and I had a Shaun of the Dead like sideshow figure with me. And so I went up there and I showed it to Simon Pegg. He's like, oh my god, this is so cool. This is like the craziest thing. I love this. And he signed it, and we were just talking about like zombies and action figures and all that stuff for like a good 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was holding up these people in line behind me. They were like so pissed, but they were like, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright were like so excited.
Well, the real reason they're pissed is because they want the experience you're having. Not because you're holding up the line.
Oh, okay.
That's really what it is. It's that Comic-Con jealousy, which is a thing. So.
Yeah, and I shook their hand, and I gave them both a hug, and it was and then after that I was hooked. Like, I had to go to Comic-Con ever since then. That won me over.
And almost 10 years of it now for you, right?
Yeah, this will be the 10th year. But love those two. And
I guess for me too, the real highlights are running into people randomly that I know. When I was running my own comic company, Graphation, I worked with a lot of artists and stuff, and I would randomly see the people that I'd work with at the show. We'd be standing at a stoplight with hundreds of people, and I'd be next to somebody I knew, next to one of the artists I work with. One time, actually last year, Judy was sick, so I went myself, and I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of shopping, and kind of was going to drive back up to Carlsbad where we were staying. And as I was walking back, I saw a guy who I knew. His name's Kevin. He's a filmmaker and a special effects guy. He does these really great puppet films, which I'll link to the bottom, so check those out if you haven't seen them. And Kevin is also from Pittsburgh, and we never knew each other in Pittsburgh. We met out here, but I ran into him in the street. And he's like, oh, what do you got? Because I had my Gentle Giant stuff I bought. And so he's looking at it, and he's like, oh, I know some guys from there. Just really cool. And just those are the moments where you see people, or you make new friends, even, you always, make friends in line for things. You might become friends for life, or you never see him again, but it's a great experience at that moment.
That reminds me, 2010, I got in line for The Walking Dead. This was before the first season. They were doing the TV show, and I love the comic. I've been, a big fan of the comic. Still am. And right next to me was a guy named Kevin, who became a really good friend of mine for years. And we were in line for Walking Dead. We were talking about Walking Dead and all the different fandoms that we enjoyed. We sat right in the front, and this was Walking Dead before it became a phenomenon. And we've been in constant contact since then. We always hang out at panels and stuff like that, and send Christmas cards to each other. But you never know.
He doesn't
when...
even send me Christmas cards.
Oh,
he does. I'm just kidding. He does. I don't send him Christmas cards.
but you never know. I would say, just talk to people. You never know if that person next to you is really into the same thing you're in, and you don't know if they're going to
murder you and wear your face.
It's possible that could happen too. It hasn't happened to me yet.
So, but anyway, the idea is meet people, make experiences. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Please share what are your experiences from having gone to Comic-Con, or what would you dream it would be like in a perfect world?
And you know what? If you see us there, just say hi.
Yeah.